Hello, my loves, and welcome to 40k Brunch Gossip with me, ShiningNathan, here to give you all the tea on all things 40k. Now, we've covered many different xenos species throughout our short time together, and I look forward to covering more. But I'd heard whispers about this species, and so I went digging through some data slates I had recovered from a rogue trader buddy of mine. Sometimes it's hard to get this type of information unless you know people like I do, and thankfully living up here in the spire means I do. Now, this empire is called the Tau. Now, like all Xenos species, they threaten us here in Holy Terra, blessed be the Emperor, but these ones are a little bit more interesting than most, because we've covered the Eldar, the Orcs. Well, these ones are a bit more insidious. They are anime space aliens, first and foremost. But I'm going to give this between you and I. They pretend to be good, kind-hearted, but they're actually very nefarious. So let's get into it. Now, we've known about the Tau for about 6,000 years, and the Inquisitor found their planet, had marked it for exterminators so we could get on the planet and colonize it. Well, at that point, baby doll, they were just hunter-gatherers that just discovered the wheel. Well, that was 6,000 years ago. Now, they are a spacefaring species, expanding an empire in leaps and bounds, methodically. Now, from what I heard, because I had to go dig into another data slate and the Administratum, they evidently were cut off due to a warp storm, right? The warp storm's a big bad energy thing. Well, then they were warned. There are several castes. There's the water caste, the fire caste, the earth caste, and the wind caste. Well, all these castes were at war. I'll tell you more about what they do in a minute. But then these great beings. Hold on, let me check the data slate real quick. What was their names? I forgot their names. Well, they got big leaders called the Ethereals that came in and mediated that conflict. They unified, allegedly. Well, now they stay working for the greater good. That is, mean the good for all. Now, through only a few thousand years, they're traveling space and trying to absorb more planets. I've heard they've even absorbed human hive worlds. I know. Absolutely heretical. Absolutely disgusting. To think those other humans would defect to a xenos species. But anyway, that's for the Emperor to decide. These Tau are not like us. They cannot fight the big warfare in massive battles of attrition. No, they fight strategically at long range in their mech suits, their big, small mech suits. And they absorb other planets by first offering, hey, do you want to join us? And if they don't, then they absorb them through force by invading the planet, from what I read in one of the data slates. Now, it is kind of speculated, this is definitely gossip, that the Ethereals, their highest beings that kind of control all of the Tau, they have mind manipulation through pheromones and things to make sure the Tau stay obedient and stay to the route of the greater good. But let's continue on to the species of the Tau, which is the primary race of the Tau Empire. Now, the Tau are made up by 4 castes, technically 5. The Ethereals at the top, and the rest are right below it. There is the water caste that are like their mediators, the ones that are their envoys, their ambassadors, their diplomats. Then there's the fire caste that makes up the bulk of their military, their armed forces. They all kind of are different in different ways. The air caste are their pilots, the ones that maneuver their ships, captain their ships, all that stuff. And they have evolved to be brittle-boned and tall because they're in space so much. And then there's the Earth caste. They're the ones that build all the infrastructure, the weapons, and so forth. And that is how the Tau Empire is arranged. Now, every other species kind of gets slaughtered in there, and once you're put into a role, if you're a fire caste, you do not leave the fire caste, because doing so would not be for the greater good, because you're supposed to be doing what's for the greater good, and the greater good is what you were bred for. You know what I mean? So very nefarious compared to, at least we're up in your face about it. You know what I mean? Here in the Administratum and the Imperium, we're in your face about what we doing, baby. You know, I've never met a guardsman that ain't know what he's going to go into. But hey, who am I to judge a xenos species? That's for the Emperor to decide. But that's neither here nor there. They do not have faster than light travel, from what I heard. I could be wrong now, but they kind of inch outward from the the ultima segmentum. Yeah, in slow little bursts or spheres as they expand their empire. And they first go in and ask the planet if they want to join the Tau. If they don't, well, then they eventually will absorb them militarily, like I said earlier. Now, the technology is very advanced, but they use the heretical AI, from what I gathered from that data slate. So, all this has to stay between us. You understand? Because it ain't good for some inquisitor to find out we're talking about AI or xenos in general. But they use a lot of robotics, a lot of AI, and a lot of mech suits. And they do not fight good attritional warfare because they're not as populous as our glorious Imperium. They don't have endless waves of drones, so they're very methodical. They're precise. If you advance too close, they will do something to teleport away and shell you from afar. Now, do not get it twisted, baby. You gotta be careful with these ones. They're persnickety. They're persistent. And they are very well thought out in terms of how they're going to do things. I love their technology. From what I've seen in the picture, it's cute. It's real cute. But they pick their targets very, very intentionally. So that is the Tau. I think they sound very interesting, but the whole insidiousness of the ethereals kind of mind controlling them makes me think something suspicious is going on. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with being up here in my beautiful spire, as usual, but something about the greater good just sounds suspicious. Anyway, I hope you like this little bit of gossip. As always, if you want more in-depth, get down to the meat and bone of a topic, go look at the other creators on this platform that can give you a more in-depth, like Luton09 and Wes Hammer. They go into much bigger breakdowns than I care to, baby. I'm just here to gossip to you, give you the overview, give you the taste so you want to learn more about this beautiful 41st millennium we're in. As always, honey, I love you coming up to my spire to say hello. And if you enjoy my content, well, I am a subscription-based creator, so consider becoming a patron on my Patreon for as low as $3 a month. Also, turn on that notification bell and subscribe if you enjoyed. I will continue on, and as we go on, we'll get into more individual approaches to gossip about some of the great people of our wonderful Imperium. As always, take care of yourself, and glory be to the Emperor.